The moment that we realized our lives are really starting to hit a changing point, I remember we were in music class and the teacher got a phone call and it was her mum, and her mum was saying that there's a bomb threat in our school. And I remember the teacher like rushing frantically. She grabbed her stuff, she left the class, and she left like a bunch of year 5s by themselves in the classroom. And it was really chaotic. I remember all my friends and I, we were kind of like crying in class. We grew up in Aleppo, Syria, and it was a beautiful city. It was rich with food and tradition and culture. We went to a Catholic school in Aleppo and we loved it.
They were happy, they were settled. We had a very beautiful home back there, and they were very good at their school. But we saw that the future is not going to be safe for them.
And I always remember, if I saw the news about other cities or like other countries, I would always think like there's like no way. Like Syria, like into a war zone, like that's just impossible, you know. But I guess anything can happen.
I can see the situation will be escalated, and I said for the future of the kids, we have to take a decision and move very quickly. Yeah.
I guess we didn't know much about Australia. My dad would try to do like Australian accents and we would just laugh because we'd find it like so weird that people could talk in such a way. When we said goodbye, I like shouted to my grandma like, "Don't worry, I'm gonna come see you again." That's my memory as well. I guess everybody was crying and we knew we were going to somewhere safe. We ended up moving to Melbourne, Australia when we were 10 years old on the 23rd of May 2012. We remember we were driving up the driveway to our family friend's house who we were going to stay with for 2 weeks. And they had like a front yard and a backyard and like a mailbox, and I was like, that's pretty cool. It was so different because we only lived in like big apartment buildings and such. And I remember looking outside and they looked like the Simpsons house. So we did definitely have some difficulty trying to settle into Australia. We just didn't feel like we were like any of the other kids, I guess. They didn't really accept us at the start. Even like doing like small games at lunchtime, they would always kind of put us to the side. So it was a bit of a difficulty like trying to, you know, find our place. Yeah. So this is a diary that I kept when I first arrived to Australia. At one point, I just wrote, "I hate my life, I want to go back. I have no friends, I'm so weird." It was definitely a struggle. We were kind of scared to tell everyone that we were Syrian because they might say something hurtful or wrong. Even last week when I told one of my like new teachers that I'm from Syria, she was like, "There's nothing back there. That's what people think." But there's people and there's life. Hope, there's life. People still try to adapt and live their lives as normally as possible.
I told them you have to do something about this and to let the world hear about your voice and the Syrian voice actually.
So the premise of Refugees on Air podcast is basically to spread awareness about refugees, and we do that by interviewing a lot of refugees from different countries who have different experiences of coming here.
Hey, hello guys.
Hey.
How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you doing? Our latest episode with the refugee called Zito. Hi everyone, you're listening to Refugees on Air. So Zito, do you have any specific memories of the refugee camp?
Yes I do. I mean, it was a terrible place to live, but then you can't complain because you find yourself there.
Motivates us that there are so many people who've been through similar circumstances and that we can do something amazing if we just work hard, be resilient just as much as they did. I'm comparing my life now to my friends' lives back in Syria. I guess we're really filled with opportunities here, and we make the most out of them. I've started to realise that people do want to welcome all these refugees. But at the same time, I feel like Australia as a country, it has the potential to do so much more. But they're just scared, and the main source of that fear is just not knowing. They're just scared of change happening to their country.
They say there is a light at the end of
the tunnel.
The tunnel, so just keep moving, keep doing what you do, believe in your dream, and keep pushing. Love that.
What do you hope Refugees on Air will achieve?
Oh, I want to go on Ellen. once you leave that room, you just feel like so overwhelmed, but like in such a good way, and so full of happiness and hope that you're making a difference and people will listen to this and feel inspired.